A pleasant afternoon to each and everyone. I am Jofel Ernesto of BSED Filipino 2A. At this juncture, we go now to Lesson 4, the risky behaviors of adolescents. When we talk about risk, it is the probability that a hazard in the environment can actually negatively affect the individual. On the other hand, risk-taking is a behavior of doing something regardless of potential loss. Majority of the youth mature successfully through adolescence without apparent long-term problems. All adolescents should be considered at risk due to prevalence of risk behaviors, the inherent development needs adolescents, and the various risk factors for their initiation and maintenance. Risk-taking is normal part of adolescent development. Risk-taking is defined as participation in potentially health-comprising activities with little understanding of or in spite of an understanding of the possible negative consequences. Adolescents experiment with new behaviors as they explore their emerging identity and independence. The concept of risk has been established as characteristic that expose adolescents to threats to their health and well-being. Young people may be exposed to similar risks but respond differently. Some may not sustain any physical or emotional damage while others may be affected for the rest of their lives. The challenge for health providers is to distinguish between what may be normal exploratory behaviors and those that are health comprising. Health behaviors in adolescents continue into adult life and will influence health and morbidity throughout life. During adolescence, young people begin to explore alternative health behaviors including smoking, drinking alcohol, drug use, sexual intimacy, and violence. The Department of Health in its Adolescent and Youth Policy 2000 has identified the following health risks. First, the substance use, the premarital sex, early childbearing, abortion, the HIV or the human immunodeficiency virus, or the AIDS or the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, the violence, accidents, malnutrition, and of course, mental health. Guidance of family is also important as the adolescent develops into a mature adult. Family arrangement based on the 2006 Macan-Erickson study has noted that 53% of adolescents live with both parents because of OFW phenomenon. 5% live without mother, 20% live without father, and 23% live without both parents. Data on non-sexual behaviors where adolescents engaging in vices such as smoking and alcohol drinking show that the adolescents is the fourth highest in the country who are currently smoking with a percentage of 20.7%. The adolescent is likewise the fifth highest in the country who are currently drinking alcohol beverage with a percentage of 38.9%. More than 3 in 100 of adolescents have used drugs, below the national average, while greater than 8 in 100 have ever thought of suicide. This has decreased from 2002 to 2013 compared to the general population. Those who attempted suicide decreased to 2.4% below the national average level. Sex and media had been identified as the key influences among adolescents engaging in high-risk behaviors as shown in the studies in National Capital Region and Calabarzon. 3 in 5 had watched X-rated movies and videos, the fourth highest in the country. 3 in 10 had sent or received sex videos through cell phones or internet, the second highest in the country. 6 in 100 had engaged in phone sex, higher than the national average. Here are the identified sexual risks that were found among the growing Filipino adolescents. Number 1, 1 in 3 has sexual experience. They also engage in sex at younger ages. First sex for boys is about 17.6% years old, while first sex for girls is about 18.1% years old. 1 in 50 had sex before age 15, while 1 in 4 had sex before age 18. 7 in 10 had first premarital sex cases, are unprotected against unintended pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections or the STI, including the HIV or the AIDS. 1.2% had paid for sex and 1.3% had received payment for sex. This is low but above the national average level. 6.7% had engaged in casual sex and 4.1%, mostly males, have fuck buddy or the FUBU experience. 6.3% had males having sex with males. 2.9% of married youth, including those in live-in, had engaged in extramarital sex. Next is giving birth at younger age. It has also been evident in Filipino youth such that there is a marked increase in teenage fertility in the past decade. 7.1% aged 15 to 19 are already mothers. The proportion of women who began childbearing increases with age 2% age 16, 13.2% age 19. Teenage fertility is the lowest among all regions of the country. Next is the prevalence of sexually transmitted infections. Like HIV or AIDS are increasing in the youth as of 2013. 87.7% have heard of HIV or AIDS with poor understanding and being the highest in the country, noting that 3 in 4 think that they would not get AIDS. Another sexual risky behavior is the trouble signs among teens. Sexual promiscuity, regular use of drug and alcohol, repeated violation of the law or school regulation, running away more than once in 3 months, skipping school more than once in 3 months, aggressive outbursts or impulsiveness, dark drawing or writings, deterioration in hygiene, oppositional in behavior, refusal to work or non-compliance, chronic lateness, falling asleep in class, changing in physical appearance, and excessive daydreaming. The last sex risk behaviors that was identified that is common among the Filipino adolescents is the harmful practices. Culture and tradition play a significant role in shaping the way young people and adolescents behave and lead their lives. However, young people had become victims of harmful traditional practices which affect their human reproductive rights. This may differ from place to place but primarily affects women. Here are the common drug abuse by young people: marijuana, maironggi, alcohol, cigarettes, cocaine, heroin, amphetamines, ecstasy, inhalants, and the solvents. So what are the tips to avoid drugs? First, you do not need to take drugs to be liked by other people. Second, you do not need to take drugs to feel brave or courageous. The third one, you do not need to take drugs to cope up with your sorrows and disappointments. The fourth one, you have inside you the strength and the inner resources to deal with any situation and any problem. Number 5, whatever problem you are facing, there are other people available to help you. You can talk to a friend, a teacher, a parent, or a trusted person at your church. We can have a happy, youthful experience without doing the negative things that will create a bad impact to our life. As a youth, we may serve as a good example to our fellows and make the world a better place to live in. And that concludes the lesson 4. I hope that you learned something today. Thank you for listening, and always remember that you are not alone. You are loved by so many people.